Imagine this, you boot up a game, the graphics are stunning, the gameplay and combat are fluid, and the story actually hooks you. You play for 10 hours, 50, 100, maybe more, and the entire time your wallet stays firmly in your pocket, and all of this is happening on your smartphone. A few years ago, the words free-to-play struck ideas of low-quality or casual mobile games or PC games with a ton of pop-ups and paywalls just to progress through the story. But with games like Genshin Impact and the brand new kid on the block Neverness to Everness, or NTE, this is completely changing. They're giving away $70 AAA titles for absolutely nothing. But we all know the old saying, if something is free, then usually you are the product. Behind the sheer generosity of these absolutely enormous open worlds is one of the most predatory gaming systems and monetization systems we've ever seen, the Gacha system. It's a system that is actively changing the games industry forever, for both good and bad. To understand how we got here, we have to look at what these mobile-first developers are doing differently. Historically, the gaming industry was split. You had your massive, high-production console and PC games, and you had your more casual mobile games. Now, that line has completely gone. Developers like MiHoYo and Hotter Studios are designing games from day one to be cross-platform. They're building titles with the scale and production values of premium AAA studios, but somehow optimizing them to run on the phone in your pocket, your PC and the console under your TV simultaneously. Take Genshin Impact, which completely rewrote the rulebook back in 2020. It delivered a massive, gorgeous, open-world action RPG you could fully complete. Story, exploration, and a vast majority of the endgame using entirely free characters and a bit of smart planning. No paywall. And now, in 2026, we have Neverness to Everness, or NTE, taking that exact blueprint and injecting it with a heavy dose of supernatural urban GTA vibes. You're driving customized sports cars through highly detailed city streets, switching over to anime-style female warriors called espers and fighting supernatural anomalies. And right out of the gate, NTE did something fascinating to get players through the door. They made the starting experience incredibly generous. We're talking hundreds of free pools right at launch, and a massive shift in mechanics, completely dropping the traditionally brutal 50-50 system on limited banners. If you hit pity, you get the featured S-rank character, period. Between NTE, Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero, the bar for what qualifies as a free game has been raised to an almost terrifying level. They give you a pile of launch rewards, daily free pools, and a safety net called a pity system to protect you from terrible luck. On paper, the player wins. You get to experience everything the game has to offer through pure gameplay, grinding, and patience. So, how are these companies making billions of dollars? The magic trick here is called the Gacha system. At its core, it is a lottery-based system for characters and weapons in games. If you want that shiny new character on the face of the update, then you have to pay your in-game currency to essentially spin the wheel or roll the dice in the case of NTE. The catch though is the base drop rate for these rare characters is sometimes as low as 0.6%. To balance that out, many games use a pity system. In the case of Genshin and NTE, if you don't roll a S-tier character or a 5-star character within 90 rolls, then the game just takes pity on you and gives you one anyway. But actually choosing the character is only step one. The monetization is beautifully, deviously subtle. First, there's FOMO, the fear of missing out. These characters are usually tied to limited time banners. If you don't get them in the next 3 weeks, they may well be gone forever. Secondly, there's the duplication system. Pulling a character once gets you that character. Pulling them 6 more times unlocks their true, absurdly overpowered potential. Add in premium cosmetics, weapons, tailored specifically to your character, and items to skip time, gated stamina mechanics, and suddenly the spending ceiling becomes infinite. Even when the game tries to be the good guy like NTE, dropping the 50-50 mechanics to be more player-friendly, the core incentive remains identical. They make these limited espers look so stylish and so fun to play, and so core to the community's conversation that you want to be a part of it. This creates a brilliant business model. The overwhelming majority of the player base plays entirely for free, or maybe drops a few dollars a month on the Battle Pass. They provide the active player count, the hype and the community. Meanwhile, a tiny fraction of the player base, affectionately known as whales, spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every single month. The whales are essentially subsidizing the game for everyone else, and it works. It funds years of massive, free content updates. Can you survive and thrive as a purely free-to-play player? Absolutely. If you manage your resources like a financial manager and accept that you can't have every single character, you win. But doing that requires fighting against some of the most advanced psychological design on the planet. And that brings us to the more controversial side of this conversation, the ethics. Let's look at the positives first, because they are real. This model has democratized premium gaming. If you're a kid with an older smartphone or a student who can't afford $70 on a new game every year, this model gives you access to breathtaking, world-class experiences for zero cost. It gives players complete and total agency over their wallets, and it fuels genuine artistic innovation in world design. But the dark side is incredibly real and it can't be ignored. Gacha mechanics are built entirely on the psychology of gambling. It relies on variable rewards to trigger massive dopamine spikes in our brain. It's the exact same mechanics used in slot machines. Because it's wrapped in a beautiful anime aesthetic and engaging gameplay, it slips under the radar of traditional gambling walls in many parts of the world. It actively targets human impulse and FOMO. We've all seen the horror stories online. People wiping out their savings or younger players running up massive bills on their parents' credit cards because they just had to get a specific character before the banner timer hit 0.
Look, I want to be fair here. The technical achievements of getting these games running on both mobile, PC and consoles all at once is a technical marvel. But as someone who likes technology and gaming, I think we do have to call out the dark patterns that are at work here. I don't think gacha games like this are inherently evil, but left unchecked, they do kind of prey on this certain psychological state that is pretty dangerous. I genuinely believe that the industry needs better. We need clearer in-game spending warnings, better age gating, and better consumer protections around the world. I think these kinds of gacha systems should be in the same category as gambling and should be treated as such. Democratizing premium experiences shouldn't come at the cost of preying on those that are more susceptible to gambling.
Whether we like it or not, this model is completely shifting the entire gaming landscape. On the positive side, it's forcing traditional AAA Western studios to step up their game. They can no longer release half-baked, full-price games and expect customers to just accept it when the free option looks this good. It's bringing mobile and console parity closer than it ever has been before, and it gives games a massive, multi-year lifespan when communities can grow together. But there is a flip side. We are seeing the gacha-ification of everything. Traditional publishers are looking at the billions MiHoYo make and trying to force these aggressive monetizational models into premium single-player titles where they simply just don't belong. It creates an environment where traditional self-contained single-player games have to fight twice as hard for players' attention, because they're competing against games designed to be played every single day, forever. It leads to massive player burnout. The daily login requirements, the limited time events, the consistent pressure to keep up, it turns gaming from a hobby into a second job. If you ask me, when this goes into the future, we're heading towards a landscape dominated by those hybrid giants. We're going to see more games where the core experience feels premium and costs nothing, but the collection and progression elements are completely driven by gacha systems. It's an evolution that punches technical innovation forward, but it risks homogenizing game design around the monetization instead of pure fun.
Ultimately, I think games like Genshin and NTE are a technical marvel. And it proves that the gaming industry doesn't need to be stuck behind this $70 paywall just for a single experience. The technology behind it is brilliant, and the worlds are genuinely worth exploring. But as players, we have to stay vigilant. Enjoy the world building, enjoy the stories, but just keep in mind of your spending, especially on these more gambly gacha style systems. But anyway guys, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section down below, how do you feel about these free-to-play style games and the gacha system in general? Are you playing any of these big AAA titles on your phone right now? Let me know in the comments, and get subscribed while you're down there as well, because it genuinely does mean the world to me. If you enjoyed this video, essay style video, then please do let me know, because I quite enjoyed researching it and making it, so I think I could do more in the future. Anyway guys, my name has been Robert, this has been Bite Size Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.